Welcome back to SBS version 2.0. This is the first update for SBS that fixes a lot of the game-breaking bugs that we had in the previous versions, as well as introducing a few new features all ready for 1.15. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail because if I started, it's going to take me all day. Trust me, I've recorded this video about 3 times now, and it always ends up being too long with me rambling about random stuff, so I'm going to try and keep it brief. Now, in the previous versions of SBS, if you did see version 1.0 and 1.1, I first of all must say version 2.0 of SBS currently does not have any lunar events. Unfortunately, we do not have Optifine for 1.15 just yet. However, I was really keen to get this pack updated because we do have a few new features and game rules that we can use to our advantage. So lunar events such as the blood moon and also new ones as well will be coming in the near future, but I am going to need to wait for Minecraft 1.15 to be capable of running Optifine, and then when that happens, I'll be able to introduce the blood moon mobs once again, and at that point I'll start working on the blood moon event and also some other lunar events I have planned as well, such as the harvest moon and also the super moon. Now, with regard to the actual pack itself, the state it's in currently, I have fixed a number of bugs, as I mentioned. One of the most noticeable bugs that was in previous versions was when you were in the Nether. Previously, the game was running a randomizer every single tick for no reason. There was no reason to be running it every single tick at all. You only needed to run it during specific events. But in the previous game, there was a randomizer running constantly, and if you went into the Nether, for some reason, the location of the loot table was just kind of broken, and if you tried to go to the Nether, your tick lag, which is this menu. Oh, that was the wrong. How do you do it again? Is it Alt F3? Alt F3? No, F3. Is it like Shift F3? Shift F3? That's that one. You can see my NVIDIA thing there. I'm using OBS to record this. Hang on, Control F3. I feel like it's FPS and TPS Alt hidden. It is Alt. Alt and F3. Alt and F3. There it is. Okay, yeah. So this is tick speed. Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, this is tick speed. Essentially, this bar graph that you see down here, we've got like a red lag spike there. That's to do with tick speed. Now, tick speed is to do with how fast crops grow, how often blocks get updated and things like that. And it's a very rare thing that you barely ever see in Minecraft, but it's always going on in the background. 20 ticks per second is what you should be having. Anything more than that, you don't need. And whoa, you see that there? You just got a massive lag spike. Anything more than that, you don't need. Anything less than that is going to start to cause really strange performance issues. Nothing like FPS. Your FPS is completely separate to TPS. But for example, if your TPS is really high, mobs won't be able to update, blocks won't break sometimes, crops won't grow, traveling through portals takes ages. Basically, you want your TPS to be at 20, no more, no less. That is what you want. In SBS version 1.1, the randomizer that was being ran when you were in the Nether made your TPS climb progressively and just not stop. It just kept climbing. And climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, and I don't get why. I still fully don't understand why to this day why it was doing that. That has now been fixed. So the pack does now have a number of randomizers, but they do not use the same kind of functionality as before. They only get ran once on specific events. Therefore, when you're in the Nether, you will not generate a horrendous amount of tick lag. Basically, that's been fixed now. Another notable bug that was in previous versions was through with phantoms. It wasn't really a bug, but more so an oversight on my part. Unfortunately, phantom spawning can't really be changed in 1.14. Phantoms just spawn as they naturally would do, and that's just the way it is. What this essentially in Minecraft 1.14, the way that phantoms spawn is the game will actually count up a hidden statistic on the player called insomnia. Now, insomnia is how long it's been since a player has slept, and it's difficult to calculate exactly how long it would take because it is a hidden statistic. But basically, when you hadn't slept in a bed for 3 days, the game would spawn phantoms around you at nighttime, and they would home in on you and try and kill you unless you sleep or whatever, like anything like that. That's how phantoms work. We all know. Obviously, with SBS, the main functionality of this mod is to extend the duration of the day-night cycle, and that means that currently the day-night cycle is 9 times longer than it usually would be, which is what the default value is. So you have a 90-minute day and a 90-minute night. This would mean that passing one Minecraft day would mean that you've met the phantom requirements 3 times over. So you would get crazy phantom spawns every single night unless you slept. So basically, SBS wasn't really functioning as I wanted it to because you couldn't just treat the game in the exact same way as before, with day-night cycles just being longer. You would be forced to fight hundreds of phantoms every single night, regardless of whether or not you'd slept the previous night, because the day was long enough for it to always think that you needed to spawn phantoms. So in 1.15, the reason why SBS is now only for 1.15 is we have this new game rule called, that's game mode, game rule, oh my god, can I type please, do insomnia. This is the game rule that I was talking about, and if you see here, game rule do insomnia is currently set to false. So basically the game has added this ability to completely disable phantom spawning. I think this was added due to popular demand, simply because a lot of people just don't like phantoms. I personally think phantoms are really cool, and I think they're a great addition to the game. But obviously for SBS, they're a bit of a nightmare because you couldn't really change how they spawned without kind of, I don't know, targeting them and just instantly killing all the ones that spawn naturally and then spawn them in manually with custom loot tables, maybe, or killing the items that they drop if they don't have it would be complicated. I have considered doing it, but it would be very complicated. In 1.15, we can just simply do game rule do insomnia false, and that means that phantoms will not spawn manually. And the way that phantom spawning works now is that if you have slept, well, obviously it happens every night, but it only happens after a certain point. I should really go into detail about something else first. Let me just show you. So if I do scoreboard objective, set display, sidebar, scal debug, we have a number of new values on here that you might not recognize. Yeah, I did say I've already recorded this video 3 times. I always go into way too much detail. How long are we into the video now? 6 minutes. That's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Okay, so on the side of the screen there, you can see we have a few values. We have virtual day, which is something that's going to be working in an upcoming snapshot, an upcoming update for SBS. That's to do with lunar events, so you can ignore that one for now. The value of time, 8, 6, 5, 9, 60, 61, 62, 63, etc. That is the current value of time, so it's just simply checking for the value of time and storing it as a scoreboard value. The value day that you can see on there that says 20, this is actually this value here that's just hidden behind the haste sign. You can see it's day 20, and you can see the local difficulty there matches up based on how many days into the game we are. And other than that, we have pseudo time, which is just used for calculating the news time, the news speed at which time progresses. And of course, we also have players and sleeping. If I was to go game mode survival, not spectating. Survival, then you can see that we now have players 1. So just to clarify, that is functioning correctly. It just doesn't count me if I'm in creative mode, so you can ignore that one for now. So yeah, so basically, what do all these things do? So the day count is actually very important. SBS no longer uses a single time set command. It will be using time set when we introduce lunar events, because unfortunately there is no better way of doing it, and that is what the virtual day tag is for. It's for storing the most recent day count and then going back to it after the lunar event finishes. But essentially, yeah, that value of day is actually really, really helpful now. So the way that phantom spawning works is it will not actually calculate unless your day is on 16 or higher. Now, unfortunately, because of the nature of the pack and the lunar events that are coming in the future, we can only count days up in 2s. So your day count is not going to be at all accurate. So if you look onto your F3 screen and see what day it is, half it. That's how you now calculate what your actual day is, because the time will always be upped in 2s because we want to skip every other lunar event, and that is how the lunar events will work in the future. Anyway, with phantom spawning, if your day is 16 or higher, or in reality 8 or higher, every single night you will spawn phantoms. Now, the phantom spawning mechanics are actually really, really interesting. I've decided to do it in a completely different way to what Mojang does, and I think it's way cooler. During the night, from the time of 11 p.m. until 4 p.m., the game will run a randomizer. It's actually a value of 1 to 2,000, and if the randomizer hits the value of 1, 2, or 3, then it will try and spawn that number of phantoms above you at Y350. Now, that sounds crazy, and trust me, it is, but when it's the middle of the night and you can see like a tiny, tiny thing just circling in the sky above you, it looks really, really cool. And then that same randomizer will actually be ran every tick to calculate whether or not the phantoms will then come down from Y350 to, I just simply give them a data merge tag to make their hovering range change from 350 to 90, and they will swoop down from the sky and then come after players. So basically, the reason why I wanted to do it like this is because I think it's a really interesting way of having like phantom preparation, because you could look up in the sky, see some phantoms swirling around you, and at any point in time, any number of them could just swoop down and start attacking you. Because the way it works, I'm doing the data merge at a limited number of phantoms, so there could be 3 phantoms up there and only one of them gets given the new data tag to make them come down, or there could be 4 phantoms up there and only 2 of them get given the data tag. You get the idea. So basically, phantom spawning now, you can kind of see them in the sky above you really, really high up, and then you can prepare for them coming down. Now, the reason why I did this is because obviously spawning phantoms at the usual height would be kind of problematic, because if it was the middle of the night and you were standing in your house or in like a big tower, then you might just spawn a phantom in a wall. So that's not helpful. Spawning the phantom at Y350 means that they're almost 100 blocks away from any structure in the world, obviously with the block limit being 256. And then modifying their data to make them come down to Y90 means that the phantom will use its own AI to avoid any structures built by the player as it comes down to the surface to attack players. So phantom spawning now works completely differently. It will only work if your day is on 16 or higher, which in reality matches up to day 8 or higher. Yeah, I think it's really cool. So you can very easily avoid phantoms by just sleeping before 11 p.m. Or if you stay up long enough, then you will definitely have some attacking you and chasing after you during the middle of the night. So yeah, phantom spawning now actually works properly and has built-in mechanics with SBS. So yeah, I love that. That's easily my favorite feature of this version of SBS. I think it works fantastically. And I'm going to actually show you how it works now as well. So if I do game mode survival, because you have to be in survival mode for this to work, and then we do time add, because again, if I do time set, it will reset the day count, so I have to do time add. So I'm going to do time add 6,000, where that's going to bring us to. Okay, there's the moon. So currently the time is 15,270, which is the equivalent of, I believe, 9 p.m.? Yeah, 9 p.m. So I need to do a time add 2,000 so that we get to the right point. Now we're at 17,000, which is about 300 ticks after 11 p.m. So now that we are past 17,000 and the day is greater than 16, a randomizer is being run in the background to calculate whether or not phantoms should be spawned directly above me. Now, I can't see any yet. It's easiest to see when the moon's like at its very highest, because obviously the phantoms do block out the moon quite well. But yeah, the randomizer is quite a small chance, so the chances of us actually getting a phantom spawn here is very, very low. As I said, it's about 3 in 2,000 that you'll get phantom spawns, so it's pretty rare. But yeah, what I can do to change this is simply affect the value of time warp. So if I do scoreboard, players set time warp, scale debug to 1, then what we're going to see is that time will now advance at the normal rate for Minecraft. You can see the moon is moving. Wait, what? Data pack info for time warp. Oh, it's scale settings, not scale debug, scale settings. There we go. There we go. So time is now moving at the usual rate at which Minecraft would. Obviously, because we're doing it with time add and not the natural game rule, it's going to make the sky quite jittery. But that's just unfortunately the way this works. But yeah, if we were to wait here for long enough, you would see that some phantoms spawn directly above me at Y350, and they will swoop down to attack me periodically, basically. So yeah, another thing I should probably note as well is obviously this doesn't work if you are in the nether. This will only target players that are in dimension 0. I'm kind of disappointed that we haven't had a phantom spawn yet. Like, it is a randomizer at the end of the day, so there's no way of predicting when they might spawn. But I would obviously much rather it be that way than be predictable. But yeah. So yeah, so if you're in a dimension other than the overworld, it won't work. If you go into the nether, you will be given a new data tag that tells the game that you are in dimension -1 or 1 with the nether and end respectively, and then the game won't target you for phantoms. So again, if you do want to avoid phantoms and you don't want to sleep, you can very simply just nip into the nether or the end, and the game will not target you for phantom spawning. I feel like I can see one, but I'm not. It might be my eyes deceiving me. No, I can't tell. See, it's too dark. They're so high up that you can barely see them. Although I feel like I can... No. I don't know. I have no idea. But anyway, I'm going to leave this running for a little bit here, and we'll see if we get any phantom spawning. And there it is. And we got two at the same time. Do you understand now how cool that looks? Like, I was sat here waiting for about 2 minutes, I would say, just waiting for these guys to spawn. And you can see there, they just spawn, and they're actually already swooping down. That was really good timing. So you see they spawn right up there, circle around for a moment, and then after a random amount of time, they'll come down to this Y90, fly above you like that, make their amazing sounds, and then come and attack you. So, yeah. It's really cool. I really like these things. After they've swooped down to kill you, they will circle at Y90. They will never return to Y350. So they will only spawn there and then obviously stick around. Is that how they act in vanilla? That's really dumb. I swear they were like harder to dodge than this. Is this really how why do people dislike phantoms? They're so easy. What? You can. I'm not even sprinting. You can just strafe. Strange. Let's see if we got any more while we were doing that. No, I can't. Wait, is that one? No, I can't see any more. I don't think. Yeah, yeah, we'll be able to see them by now because it's lighting up. Actually, yeah, the time's past 22,000, so it's not going to be running anymore, is it? Yeah, well, there you go. That's phantom spawning. I think it's really cool. I'm going to set the value of scoreboard back to 9 so that the time progresses at the default speed of SBS instead. That is the default speed, right? Yeah, the sky is just weird. Man, vanilla Minecraft does not look pretty at all, does it? I've been playing 115 with the 115 textures and everything. It's not nice. It's really not nice. I cannot wait to do SBS v4. Anyway, so another thing worth noting, obviously, as I mentioned before, certain features don't work in the Nether, so the game isn't going to try and target you to spawn phantoms while in the Nether or the End. It will only work while you're in the Overworld. I've gone to a lot of effort to make sure that things like the player count and the sleeping count do match up correctly. So if you are in game mode survival and in game mode what am I talking about? If you're in survival mode and you're in the overworld, you will be counted as a player to check for the number of players sleeping, whereas if you are in creative mode in the overworld, or if you're in a different dimension in survival mode, you will not be counted towards the player count, and then obviously it means that you can be in different dimensions and people in the overworld can still sleep. So this is entirely multiplayer friendly, as well as single player friendly as well. So I've gone to a huge effort to make sure that the mod does actually work if you want to use it on like a server or anything like that. So yeah, appreciate, you know. Why have the villagers stopped moving? I've seen this before. I'm not entirely sure what this is, but yeah. I've seen this a couple times now. I don't know why, but it appears that like during the middle of the night, if the villagers didn't have a chance to get to a bed, they just freeze up. But then like if I right-click them and open their trades... Oh, they don't have trades. Also doesn't have trades, never mind. You have... where were you? There you are. Do you have trades? God, you're a nitwit as well. Wow. Okay, never mind. Here's this one guy that's really far away from everything that would give him a job. So if I right-click him and open his trades, he walks a bit and stops. Walks a bit and stops. Oh, no, now he's not doing anything. Okay, I have no idea. Never mind. But yeah, it feels like villagers are acting a little bit weird in 1.15. Maybe that's my data pack. Maybe it's vanilla. I'm sure someone will tell me sooner or later. Anyway, final thoughts with SBS. Obviously, we are going to be having the Blood Moon features return in a future version. For version 2.1, I'm going to have a much shorter video which is designed for users of the data pack, and a much longer video which explains all the configurable features for like server owners or people who just want to have this on their survival world, so that you can change a number of values to make it, you know, your own personal experience. One thing I love in video games is customizing settings to make it work exactly for me. So I really do see the value behind having a highly customizable data pack where you can pick all the options and pick how things work, especially if you're a server owner, for example, as well. So yeah, version 2.1 should be coming out in the next few weeks. Apologies in advance if it does take a while. I am very busy at the moment. But yeah, and again, it is reliant on Optifine being released for 1.15, which usually happens pretty quick. I mean, the Optifine guy is very quick. For, you know, obviously all the mods usually take months. Optifine's usually out within weeks. So I should be able to count on that dude, although it is coming up on Christmas, so I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little showcase video. I hope you will return for SBS v2.1 for the lunar event features in an upcoming video. And yeah, if you do have any other questions about the pack or would like to see how to use some of the current configurable settings, please feel free to join the Discord, pop me a question. I'll be happy to answer any questions about this data pack. I have a history of really disliking this data pack because as much as I love the concept, it's awful to write. But I feel like I've gotten to a point now where I actually can write it quite feasibly. So yeah, extend the duration of your days, have custom phantoms spawning, and that's about it really. Fully multiplayer compatible, and yeah, okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.